Our Persian Iranian queen, Elica is back with another one. We love her so much. She's here to tell us the truth about, this time, Australian intelligence in the IRGC. Let's take a look at this clip.
Shocking news. Sense the tone. Shocking news. The Australian Prime Minister has just revealed that its intelligence service, ASIO, determined that the IRGC was responsible for a wave of anti-Semitic attacks in Australia last year. This included arson attacks against kosher restaurants and synagogues. So the question is why? And if we look at the history of these type of events, the reason actually becomes very clear. During the Soviet Union's intelligence war against the Western world, in particular the United States and Israel, of which I'm sure you can still feel the remnants, the KGB partook in multiple operations, active measures in the Western world and in the Middle East designed to ignite these hostilities against their enemy. There were several operations, including Operation SIG and Operation Pandora, as in opening Pandora's box of hatred, that were designed to instigate copycat attacks of anti-Semitism. So, for example, they would paint swastikas on doors or desecrate Jewish cemeteries. That would elicit a copycat effect. Why? Because of something called mimesis. Mimesis is the theory of humans copying what other humans do. So they were trying to essentially create a situation that appeared that anti-Semitism was on the rise, so that anti-Semitism would, in effect, rise. There's actually a modern term for this. It's called astroturfing, to make something look like it's organic from the people, whereas it's actually foreign intelligence. There are literal quotes from the chairman of the KGB, Yuri Andropov, who said that they needed to elicit a Nazi-style hatred against Jews to create a terroristic bloodbath against the United States and Israel. And as you can see, even though the Soviet Union may have lost the physical Cold War, it very, very, very clearly won the intelligence war. Let's not, for 1 second, delude ourselves about that. So now let's put this into context in terms of what's going on now. So yes, we know that there's a physical war happening in the Middle East, but we also know there's also an intelligence war. The objective of the intelligence war is to turn the Western world against its own values, to foment these hostilities and hatred towards its own government, towards Jews, towards Israel and the United States with these plots, and turn toward the values of the Islamic regime in Iran so that it could seamlessly export its revolution, which is its stated objective. And I don't know if anybody's noticed, and I really hate to break it to you if you haven't, but it's sort of working phenomenally, fantastically, insanely well. So well, in fact, that the Oracle of Truth of our time insists that the #1 state sponsor of terror in the world is not a threat.
Iran, I will tell you this. Iran is no threat to us. Iran is absolutely no threat. Absolutely no threat to the United States of America. Absolutely no threat to the United States of America. There is no conceivable way in which they're a threat to the United States of America.
You can literally just follow their operations from 1992 until now, which started in Buenos Aires alongside Hezbollah, killing 29 people and 85 people in Berlin, mafia-style gun-downs in restaurants to kill Kurdish opposition figures, in France, literally stabbing with a kitchen knife and killing the former Prime Minister and his associates, in Switzerland murdering a human rights advocate. Intelligence services in Denmark and Netherlands both determined that there were multiple assassination plots. MI6 determined that in 2022 alone there were at least 10 kidnap or murder for hire plots by the Islamic regime that have increased exponentially since. In France, again, a foiled attempt to bomb a Paris rally. In the United States, the DOJ has charged operatives for attempted kidnap or murder for hire plots against Iranian activists. In 2009, they tried to assassinate Jamshid Sharmad on US soil in California, and then they kidnapped him from Dubai and took him to Iran and assassinated him. In 2011, there was an IRGC plot to bomb a restaurant in Washington, D.C. In 2022, an IRGC operative attempted an assassination of the US National Security Advisor, John Bolton, for $300,000. And not to mention, of course, the assassination plot against Donald Trump. And that person is actually currently, right now, in this moment of time, the President of the United States of America. So I don't know about this whole not a conceivable threat in any conceivable way, but I can tell you this. The same people that once romanticized the Soviet Union, those people were in hindsight proved to be catastrophically wrong, and the intelligence war that was coming from the communists was far more significant than anybody ever imagined. But at the time, they too were living in the twilight zone, and they believed the propaganda of obvious mass murderers, terrorists, and autocrats. And we're quite literally reliving the exact same thing. And I promise you, the only people who believe that that is the right side of history are people who are living on a planet, in a universe, inside a galaxy that is called unreality. And I don't know what you do with your life or your time, but I implore you to never visit that place. Stay with the sober minds of the time.
Look, I visit it every day. It's a fucking dark fucking place. It's a dark fucking place. But I really think this goes back to something that I'm going to say that's going to sound extremely controversial. It's going to sound very controversial, and you guys are not going to like it, but this is a reality. I travel to almost 80 countries around the world. I've got you can almost call me, and it's obviously not certified, but I'm a bit of an anthropologist in a way. First of all, when I was in college, for the only semester I did in college, I actually studied anthropology. Now, one semester of anthropology doesn't give you shit, but it gives you a foundation to understand human beings on a deeper level, especially if you gravitate towards it. Now, my goal was to become a paleontologist, but anthropology very much interested me, surprisingly so, because it had to do with some archaeology and paleontology. And when I went on for my adventures around the world, I did that trip before I had ever traveled anywhere. I was able to take what I learned in anthropology and apply it around the world and really study human beings. And I really studied human beings for the last 10 years I was traveling around the world in those 80 countries. And you know what I learned? The biggest conclusion, and I know this is going to sound a little silly, but the biggest conclusion I've learned is that most people are very, 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 very stupid. Most people around this world are very, very dumb. And it's not, please do not get this mistaken ever. This is not a genetic conversation. It's not a eugenics thing. It's not that the people are not capable of greatness, because they are capable of greatness. But an overwhelming majority of people are stupid. And that's just the truth. And it's not stupid in a context like my stupid is not, no. An overwhelming majority of people are just kind of dumb. And it makes it very easy to understand when you look at the world as, let's just say, if you've made it to this video and you're watching and you're this deep into this video and you watch Elica Laban's rant and you're 7 minutes in and you're listening to me, you're already in like the 5% of people who are like their mind is a little bit more open. And that doesn't even say everything totally. But an overwhelming majority of people on this planet have a very, very hard time grasping and understanding large life-altering and world-altering concepts. A large portion of the world doesn't understand basic human history. Basic human history. Now, I'm not just talking to you about just the most basic human history. How we got here, where we're going, how things have developed, where society comes from, where the ideas, language. Most people don't know this stuff. And so imagine when you have a very uneducated populace on planet Earth, they can be fed whatever because information is fluid. And when you come to a person and you tell them this is objective right, this is objective wrong, and if you incentivize it via force, power, money, objective right and objective wrong, they go out the window. It doesn't matter anymore. Or actually, they come through the window. Because it's no longer subjective. Objective right and objective wrong, they don't mean anything. Your objective right, your objective wrong, they don't mean anything to me or to that person. It all just flies through the window. It doesn't matter anymore. It's whatever is in their street, whatever is in their universe, in their, the way Elica Laban said it, in their galaxy. That's what reality is. That's right and wrong. And for, again, a vast majority of human beings on planet Earth. I'm not just talking to you about America right now. I'm talking to you about a vast majority of human beings on this planet. And this is not, again, I want to say, this is not a cynical or a dark way to look at it. I've come to love this planet and all the very stupid people that exist on it. But that's just the reality. When I arrive in a new country, I don't expect people to enamor me with knowledge. I expect people to enamor me with sweetness, with kindness, with fun, with culture, not with knowledge. I learn and piece together the stories of humanity and human history and the stories that take place in here by having conversations with many, many people who are less intelligent than me. And again, I hope this does not come off as condescending, because that's not my point. My point is not to be condescending when I'm saying this. It's not a racial thing. It's about most people on planet Earth knowing what's in their immediate bubble, and that's it. They know exactly what's in their circle, and that's it. Even some of the most intelligent people you think that are the most knowledgeable and open-minded are so closed in their own bubble. So what does this all say? To be a better person, you must know. You must learn. You must care. And that's something that neither I nor your best friend nor your mother or your father nor the force of God can give you. That's something that needs to come from you. If you don't care, you can never become a better person, in my opinion. You have to care first and foremost. People ask me all the time, how can I learn? How can I this? How do you become so knowledgeable? I give a shit. I give a real shit. I give a couple shits. I really care about what I'm doing. And I think that's also, it transfers over camera. You guys can hear, you see that my doctrine, my creed is real. It doesn't come from a place of, I'm not grifting. As though there are some other grifters in these spaces. You can tell them, you can seek them out very quickly. With me, it's not a grift. It's real, because I really care about what I'm doing. And because I really care about humanity, and I really care about our story and our legacy. That's why I do bigger projects that don't just involve what we're doing now. And Elica Laban, I would say, is a person like this as well. And yes, I'm sorry, it comes from a place of intelligence. I didn't need to go to school to learn this. I went to the school of the world. I traveled around the world, up and down, in some of the most remote, in some of the most famous, and some of the most popular places in the world. And I sat down with extremely rich people, and extremely poor people, and extremely political people, and extremely non-political people, in every single sector of humanity you can imagine. You don't believe me? Just take a look at my YouTube channel. It's all there. My whole life is documented. Again, that one conclusion you walk away from is most people don't know shit, and they're so easily influenced. That's why when I go to sleep at night, yeah, I'm in a fight. I am in a fight, but it doesn't really affect me so much when somebody tells me free Palestine. It doesn't really hurt me to my core like it affects some other people, because I really am able to process and understand that a vast majority of the people who say free Palestine are well-intentioned people with a good heart and soul who want to see positive changes on the planet, but are just dumb and or lazy and or don't care about the topic that they're talking about enough. That you could say it makes them a bad person, but that is what it is. A lot of people have that trait where they just will talk out of their ass without knowing what they're talking about, but it's because they do care. And so it is my job as somebody with my unique voice and my unique perspective to uplift myself and uplift other people who look like me to try to make a change in this space. Because the IRGC and Qatar have so much more money than me. They have so much more power than me. And they do scare me from a certain perspective. I mean, during the last Iran war, that 12-day war, when I was stuck in Europe, and I was stuck in very close to Iran, actually, geographically, and I made a video sort of inciting a revolution in Iran, which got 1 million views on Twitter, I was terrified of the messages I was getting from the IRGC, because I was getting messages from the IRGC that they were going to kill me, and they were threatening me, and they were trying to get me. So that scared me, and I went into hiding. I haven't even told the full story of this yet, but this is something real that happened to me, and I was scared. And it's because they're way more powerful than me. But I'm one voice with hundreds of thousands of millions of people who are listening to me. And that's amazing. We brought in like 16 million views on this channel in the last month. That's incredible. So if one person like me can make this much of an impact, hopefully, in society, can I inspire other people like me, who look like me, who talk like me, who are in that universe? I had an amazing Ethiopian viewer of mine, a Jewish Ethiopian viewer of mine, reach out to me recently saying I inspired her and I talked about it and she wants to get in on it too. And I'm hoping that's something I can help develop in the future. Shout out to you if you're watching. Kapara alaych. But that's the whole idea, is can we make the change from the ground up? Can I fight the Qatar and the IRGC that are invading and poisoning my world and taking advantage of these very stupid people that exist out here to make a positive change? Can I be like a Qatar and an IRGC in the sense of my influence and my power to get people to start thinking the right way, to walk through my footsteps, to see what I saw? Can I do that? That's the question. That's how we can break out of this reality that Elica Laban had explained, this very dumb reality that I really do believe is well-intentioned but completely misinformed. And just to get back to the point I was talking about earlier, I'm sorry this is turning into a bit of a ramble. The care is a big question. People ask me all the time, how do you know about the Mizrahi Jewish heritage, all this stuff? And I get this from close friends, I get this from people who are not close. Caring. It's about caring. I always get to this point with the debate about people who are sort of lukewarm on Israel-Palestine or neutral or even a little bit on the Palestine side but don't totally know the facts. It always breaks down to, do you care? Do you really care? And then my follow-up question is for you, if you're just saying you care, why don't you care about Sudan and all the other places where things are happening right now? And that always brings them back to a core of, you know what, if I'm being completely honest with myself, I don't really care. I'm being told to care. And that's okay. But if you recognize that you are a person that really cares and you really want to know, and that insatiable fire is burning inside of you to want to project and to explain and to teach, which is inside of me, it's an unstoppable force. You can activate that, but I can't do it for you. God can't do it for you. Your mom and your dad and your sister and your brother can't do it for you. It's got to come from you, Habibi. If it's not coming from you, it can't come from anybody. People ask me why I'm successful, why I've been able to get this YouTube channel with 600,000 subscribers. Totally, I've had help, and it's all because of you guys. But it's because I have an insatiable, burning desire inside of me. Ask anybody. I'm a fucking workhorse. I'll sit here for 16 hours and make videos if that's what it means for me to succeed. And every single person needs to understand this. For you to project your message, for people to understand the truth, for people to understand the truth about Israel, about Jewish people, about the truth of good versus evil in the Middle East, the context, the nuance, you have to care. You have to care like Elica Laban does. You have to care like I do. You have to care like Sarah does. You have to care like my friend Dinon Jewish Dawa cares. Enough to write a fucking book about it. That's how much you need to care. You need to really give a shit. And if you only give 10% of the shit, get the fuck out. It's not worth your time. It's not worth my time. It's not worth the time of anybody. But you have to really start from a position of caring. And you have to take that calculation inside of you and say, all right, do I care or do I not care? And guess what? If you don't care, that's also totally kosher. That's fine. That's halal. You're good if you don't care. That's actually even sane. Go fucking touch some grass. Go throw a football around. Go enjoy your life. But don't posture. Don't be half-assed in life. You gotta give it fully. And I really believe that, going back to what she said, those people who exist in that universe, a lot of people who just don't know how to apply themselves. A lot of people who are half-ass. They don't really know what it means to really care, to be passionate about something. They just these kind of people are like amoebas. They're just floating around the universe. They're shifting, and they're being told to go here or go there. Long fucking rant. Love you guys a long time. Thanks for listening to me. Goodbye, class. If you believe in my content and want to support me, just know your help is needed. There's a bunch of great ways to support me, being PayPal, Buy Me a Coffee, or joining my Patreon community down below. Patreon is the best way to support my channel, and you'll get a bunch of cool perks depending on what tier you join. Another great way to support me is by buying my merchandise on thetravelingclat.com. I regularly drop new merch designs like this beautiful hat, or this amazing shirt, where you can support the channel and get something cool for yourself. I also have an amazing Discord community with people from all over the world. Thank you so much for your support.